Hi everyone, this is Daryl and welcome back to Book Odyssey. Today I'm going to be offering my first thoughts on Apple TV's adaptation of Isaac Asimov's science fiction classic, Foundation. So if you want to know the premise of the story as per the books, I'll link to a video that explains all that here. I'll also link to a video I did a few months back where I question how well Asimov's Foundation series will translate to TV. In it I said that in order for it to be successful, it would have to fill in some areas that TV audiences would expect, but that were a little sparse in the books, such as characterization for instance. Another area of concern I had with translating the books to TV was that I didn't know how the narrative would flow, given that the books are set over centuries and many of the characters in each of the books, which are quite short, inevitably die in the time lapses between the books. So my plan is to give you my first thoughts with these two potential issues in mind after having watched the first two episodes. Then we can come back around the halfway point in the series and then again once it's over. But just to warn you, I am going into this series with the predisposition of really wanting to like it. I will remain impartial to a degree, but judging from the first two episodes I've seen, I kind of love it. It was everything I wanted it to be and gave me exactly what I needed before I even knew that I needed it, especially the first episode. I do have a small criticism that I'll get to later, but for now I'll answer the question most of you will want to know right off: is it true to the books? So far the premise of the story is basically the same, but there are quite a number of additions rather than outright changes at this stage. But I think we can expect a bit of hefty divergence from the original at some stage. I'm sure there will be Foundation purists out there that want a true adaptation to the book, but I'm not one of those. I feel that some changes and additions needed to happen in order for it to work for a TV medium, which I went into in my previous video. So without going too much into spoilers for those who haven't yet seen it, let's break down why I think this works so well so far. So right from the beginning we get ourselves a narrator. Now this is good because it means we're going to have a consistent voice to tell us the story. At least this is how it seems so far. We soon discover that this narrator is the character Gale, played by the magnetic Lou LaBelle, as she is on her way to Trantor to meet the fabled Harry Seldon. We learn that she has a considerable mathematical ability and is somehow to be embroiled in Seldon's psychohistory predictions. What's important is that she narrates over scenes from different times, and specifically states that the mule, who appears much later in the series at a much later time, is a name that will become important to her. Does this mean that Gale will be our protagonist and she will be the bridge through what will hopefully be many seasons? If so, I wonder how they will enable her to jump from age to age. They could simply do this by inserting technologies not seen in the book that will enable this to happen. Something like a stasis, for example. I did possibly think that the AI, Demoiselle, could fit the protagonist's role, since being an AI, she will live through the ages too, but having watched the first two episodes, I don't think this will be the case. The character, however, I am finding very interesting, and I'm excited to see where they will take her. Overall, I'm optimistic on this front. On the issues regarding characterization, my concerns went away within minutes of the first episode. From what I've seen so far, the characterization has been expanded, with many cultures, mythologies and religions pervading society. A lot of thought has gone into creating these systems, which really gives the story depth and the characters background and context. If you've read the books, you'll know a lot of the characters' names already, but just because you know their names doesn't mean you'll know the character anymore, because they have diverged from where they were in the books. Not only am I okay with this, but I think it was necessary, because if you watch my videos often, you'll know I've spoken a lot about how classic sci-fi often skipped on characterization for a number of different reasons. But the important thing here is that this was recognised, and so far it seems the writers have made up for it in quite a bold way, I think. Showrunner, writer and executive producer David S. Goyer told IO9 recently, "The thing that I really tried to dig down into is the characters, so I tried to figure out ways of creating characters that could inhabit themes and ideas that Asimov was working with. One of those characters, Goya explained, is actually time itself apparently. The book series itself makes these massive leaps forward in time, and particularly the first book is very ontological, Goya said. Very few characters continue from one story to the next. My very first meeting at Apple, I said to them, guys, time is a character. You're just going to have to embrace that. We do time jumps, we're going to jump forward, we're going to jump backwards. Sometimes we're going to tell two parallel storylines that are operating at different times. We just have to embrace it. And it would be insanity not to embrace it. Unfortunately, everyone embraced it. Foundation is already being compared to Game of Thrones, because everything is compared to Game of Thrones, especially when they pitch a show at this level. Goya also references Game of Thrones when reflecting on why now is the right time for a Foundation series. I think the medium is caught up to Asimov. I don't think it could have been done prior to these big streaming novelistic shows, he said. The audience for these streaming shows is okay, with something sort of unravelling at a novelistic pace again, thanks to shows like Game of Thrones, with lots of different characters. I think Goya has potentially already succeeded where the writers of Game of Thrones, in my opinion, did not, in that they've managed to build on and in some way enhance the original source material, making it their own while, for the moment at least, keeping to the fundamental framework of the original story. Other things I loved? Hey, Julian from DS9. No belly button, important. Spacers, this entire scene moment, and how everything looks so cinematically delicious, I just wanted to eat it. As for my one sore point, I loved Lee Pace, who plays the Emperor Brother Day, and he does it so well. But I thought it was a bit of a cliche to depict the Emperor as a tyrant. In the Asimov series, the Empire was seen as a positive force for order against chaos, rather than dominating over people, as it's sort of suggested in the series. At least that's how I see it. Both Empire versions are depicted as being stagnant, but I felt making the Emperor a tyrant is quite conflicting for the audience. On the one hand, we're told the Empire is going to fall and that this is supposed to be such a terrible thing. But then with Brother Day going around turning people into meat paste, we have to think, well, will it really be that bad if that's how the Empire does things? Maybe that was the point. It works from the point of antagonistic drama, so we'll have to see how things develop. I go more into galactic empires in science fiction in a video I did, which I'll link to here if you're interested. But this is a small sore point, and the only one I have so far, so at the risk of overselling this, I think if it continues at this pace and quality, Foundation could be massive. Game of Thrones massive? Quite possibly. We'll just have to wait and see. So that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love to hear what you thought of the first two episodes in the comments, so let me know. As always, don't forget to like the video to support the channel, and subscribe if you haven't already for more videos from me. Until next time guys, happy reading.